Okay. All right, this is the Design Review Board meeting for Thursday, April 18th, 2024. Call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the revised agenda. Vision being that item number 5 on the original agenda, which was accessory dwelling unit for the Tanzer family, has been withdrawn. So we will not be looking at that one. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anita, are you there or is it just
I
your name?
am. Hello.
Hello. Good to see your name, if not you.
Well, there's a reason.
Okay. Okay, so next item is to consider the minutes of the March 21st Design Review Board meeting. Are there any amendments to the minutes?
I have a couple.
Okay,
On page 7, we were discussing native plantings. And I think the word that made it into the middle minutes was local in 3 different places. So if we could strike local and add native, I think that's what we were talking about. Native is a specific term, not.
okay. Yeah, all right. You see that? Anything else?
Page 6, the 3 bullet points with testimony, your requests. There was laughter, but no testimony. I'm not sure we need that in the.
Okay.
And 2 lines above that. Huber asked if the patio was brick or cement. Sita answered, I don't recall what the answer was, but it might be helpful to say. Anybody remember what that was? Anita?
Gamers.
I don't recall it being brick.
It maybe isn't relevant at all, but or we could just leave it the way it is. It's fine.
I think they are cement pavers, if I remember.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Well, they're back in our packet here again, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Harvey, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Michelle? Any amendments to the minutes?
There was.
Should you say there is? Did you say you have an amendment?
Don't. I said I would tell you. I would speak up and let you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anita, anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
As amended.
Second.
What happens if we don't get a motion?
I'll move if no one else does.
Second?
I think Harvey seconded it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Now we're at public comment section, which is public comment on any non-hearing item. Anything that's not on the agenda to be considered. Right? If you want to speak during a public hearing agenda, your comments will be considered. If you want to speak on one of the agenda items, your comments will be considered at that time. Does anybody have a non-specific public comment? Okay. Moving on to non-hearing item DRB 2411. Consideration of a freestanding signage application, Travis Walker on behalf of Kramer Walker Curated Living, 79 North Hemlock Street. Their staff report.
Yes, good evening. Bring this up here. The applicant requests design review approval for the placement of new freestanding signage and 2 door-mounted window decals at Kramer Walker Curated Living at 279 North Hemlock Street, a property in the limited commercial C1 zone. The proposed freestanding signage will be located in a vegetated strip immediately north of the entrance to the subject property. The decals will be placed on the entry door. Any building mounted signage included with this application that does not utilize alternative materials would be reviewed separately from the application. Moving into the approval criteria, which are from section 1756.030 of the municipal code. Moving into the sign face area. The proposed freestanding sign will measure 20 by 34 inches or approximately 4.7 square feet and be double-sided. The door-mounted window decals would measure 12 by 18 inches or 1.5 square feet each. Total square footage for all signage, including a proposed building-mounted sign above the front door, would measure approximately 20.5 square feet. Moving into regulations generally for the height of signs. The maximum height above grade for the freestanding sign and its support frame is approximately 80 inches or 6.5 feet above grade. Moving into the regulations generally for sign lettering. The maximum letter height of the freestanding sign would be approximately 4.3 inches. The largest letter height for the window decals is not specified, however, it will be below the 12-inch limit at the maximum height of the decals themselves is 12 inches. For regulations regarding materials, application materials indicate that the freestanding sign will be constructed from sandblasted redwood and painted with a gray background and white lettering. The support frame will be a steel post painted black, and the window decals would consist of clear material with white lettering. Moving into the base zone sign requirements. The subject property is a 5,000 square foot lot measuring 50 by 100 feet. The site frontage along South Hemlock Street is 50 feet in length. The maximum allowable signage is 36 square feet, with 24 square feet of that being freestanding. The total amount of signage proposed for this property is approximately 20.5 square feet. Moving into regulations for freestanding signs. The proposed signage will be the only freestanding sign on the South Hemlock Street frontage. No other freestanding signage is proposed. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Robert. Is there any additional correspondence?
No.
Is there a presentation by the applicant?
We're here.
Come up to the podium and give us your name and address, please.
Yeah.
Maybe let us know what you're doing too about the business.
Sure. Hi, my name is Travis Walker, and we live at 552 Vine Maple here in town. We just started our new company. We moved here a few years ago after visiting Cannon Beach for a long time. This little town had the opportunity to move here and have just recently started our own business, our own brand. We're super excited. We are really looking forward to being a part of the community. It's been a great place. We've met a lot of good people volunteering at the American Legion, doing burger night every Monday for about 2 years. It's been a fun way to get to know the community a little bit more and be a participant. So we found a little spot and decided we'd go for it and open up a shop and expand beyond doing just design work and actually have storefront as well. So secured that. We're just getting rolling. We've got a lot of stuff on the way and still a lot to do, a lot of painting, a lot of other things, but yeah, we're excited. So this is our little proposal for signage, just to get our name out there and generate some business. Make the north end of town a little more friendly than it is with what was there. So yeah.
So what is your business? What is it you guys do?
We do home interiors. So we do the design side, but the store side has everything you would really need for your home. Flooring, rugs, window treatments, furniture, lamps, sofas, beds, bedding, all that kind of stuff. Just to make a home beautiful.
It's not just design, you're actually gonna sell the stuff.
Correct, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. That it?
Yeah, I think so. If you guys have any more questions, happy to answer them.
That's exciting. Happy to see that
Thank you.
building coming to life.
Thank you. We are too.
Yes.
It sat vacant for a while, so it's nice to see something happening to it. Yes.
Bring up the parking signs.
Oh, yes, we did have an additional question about the existing, you can sort of see them in one of those photographs. There's 2 existing signs that are on the property that they talk about 15 minutes. It's really small in there, but it's that green little sign in front of the fencing. And we're just wondering, we've been told that those weren't permitted at all, that they need to be either removed or I don't know if and or changed. We're wondering if there is a possibility. I don't know what the regulations would be for changing the sign, getting something actually approved. Looking for guidance on what that would be.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. Can you direct me?
Yeah, that first parking stall that's right there.
Oh,
Yeah, it's that little post sign.
Like a no parking sign almost on a
It
street.
says something about 15 minutes. Being, I don't know if it says something about the cannabis thing that was there before. Obviously, those don't apply at the moment, but we, in the short time we've been there, have noticed how many people utilize the parking lot that we are now leasing and paying for. So we do have a little concern that if there wasn't some sort of sign that indicated that it was our spaces for our customers, that it may be utilized by others shopping with us.
I don't think the handicap signs are required. That sign is not required. Is that, I believe that's correct. Am I right, Steve?
Yeah,
So you're asking, you'd like to put a different sign there that says something about parking for your business?
Or wondering, was it not permitted just in general, or like those not allowed at all? We don't know the regulations behind the one on the post right there at a parking stall.
And you.
They never made an application for those signs to be reviewed. The previous tenant never did, so those signs were never placed, with a permit.
Okay.
Unlike the
I would
ADA
like
sign,
to
they're
see
not
them
exempt.
disappear. I would like to see those parking signs disappear.
Yeah.
And do we want them to disappear, like the green sign itself, or like just the whole situation?
Well, whatever makes you happy, Travis, but I'm not sure how that whole paved parking lot with those signs came about. It was before I was on the design review board. But I would say what you would like as an applicant, I'm interested to hear if you would like them to just go away, or if you envision putting something that's more specific to Kramer and Walker.
Yes.
I hate to think that we need to have signs that tell people that that's your parking lot, but I understand because I have seen people from various other businesses maybe park there just as interim because it was
Right.
vacant, but I guess
Well, we
that's-
see that all over town.
Sure.
Parking for the chocolate shop,
Yes.
don't park here if you're going to Ecola Seafood or, whatever.
Right.
So I'm not standing at the podium, but we were told that they weren't permitted, so they needed to be removed completely by the city while we were doing a walkthrough. So we need to know, so that's fine if that's clear. And then we would like to know, can we then apply for alternative signage that does delineate the parking spaces like at the chocolate shop or at that parking lot where everything's lower and not up on big stanchions? Like, we're looking for guidance from you to tell us what would be approved if those are not ideal, so that we can
Is there
Yes.
something on the?
do that one time.
Is it- What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, lower is
Low,
the
yeah.
idea, okay, and of course, maybe not bright green.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a lovely color.
so ideally, that whole situation would be removed because you wouldn't necessarily want to approve something like that anyway.
And Steve, they're nowhere close to the square footage of sign, or Robert, they're nowhere close to the square footage of sign that would bump up against any limits. So,
Correct.
yeah, so.
Okay.
Bring us a design and
Perfect.
do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering that question, you guys. Thank you.
And Anita will get rid of the ugly bus.
Thank you. I know you will.
I don't think that you'll see a lot of people parking there when there's life in that building
Correct.
too. I think it's not probably necessary.
Okay, are there any presentations by other components? Any presentation by opponents? Any further staff response?
No.
Okay. A motion to approve the sign permit?
Can we talk about it for a second?
Sure.
I wanted to get away from decals on windows because that's actually not part of the code. But I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
I agree, Michelle. I'm kind of wondering, I don't know where in the sign ordinance it speaks about decals being calculated in all of the sign face area. And we're looking at 3 signs basically, and I don't know, I mean, I trust Grayson and Travis on this as far as what they want, but the decals is kind of a concern, and how that applies with your sign. I mean, from what I've read, you get 1 sign for your business, and now we're looking at, some businesses have 3 signs.
She's
So,
talking about numbers.
Well, I was more saying material, but I mean, whatever, because
Well,
in the code, it actually says it should be painted or etched.
So
Yeah.
responding to Michelle's question about material, the alternate materials require review by design review board, and that's part of this application that's before you today.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Rob.
So somebody's got an echo. If you could all mute, please, so we don't have the echo. The code says that alternate materials, i.e. decals, require review by the design review board. That is part of this application that is before you today.
I didn't see anything in the application that described the decals or showed the decals.
do have a printed little picture of it. They did include it when I sent it to the city, but
Yeah, they have in their application materials, which is in this exhibit here. If you come down to page 7, this shows what the decal would look like.
I have a page 7,
Mine stops at 5.
you know. And where would they go?
The application materials show them being positioned on the front doors.
I don't have that picture.
Can you scroll down to, is that what the decal will look like essentially?
essentially it's shown in gray just so you can see it, but it would be white lettering on a clear
Right.
background. So it's see-through other than the lettering.
So the question of material aside, it's very easy to get that where it has no background, period. It just is applied to the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the only thing that's there is the letters. So, which to me, I think a sheet of vinyl with letters applied to glass is slightly cheesy, but that applied to glass with no background vinyl is pretty indistinguishable from hand painted from my perspective.
Mhm.
But doesn't the code preclude decals at all?
Again, no, it does not. Use of alternate materials such as wood, metal, plastic, decals, things like that require review and approval by the design review board.
Right,
Alternate materials may be used with the consent of this group.
okay.
I think the other thing that needs to be mentioned too is that, and Anita had mentioned something, the maximum number of wall signs or door signs is 1. So I think in the end, what it comes down to is the applicant's gonna have to choose whether or not they want the decal or if they want the wall sign. If you could show the one that's extended over the doorway. So technically speaking, if say, for example, the decal was approved by the board, the applicant would have to choose either the decal or the wall sign that they're proposing, because the maximum signage on a frontage is 1 wall sign. So I don't know if that answers your question, Anita.
Well, I have a question about decals. Why is it necessary to use decals rather than painting? What's the reason why we see so many decals?
Because it's easier and cheaper, Harvey.
Yeah. And because we're only doing.
I wanted to, is somebody else talking? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I'm, downtown because I'm
You're
at
gonna
my
talk,
work
can you come
still.
up front because no one can hear you in the speaker.
What, can you not hear me?
Nope, I was talking to the applicant. Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. So I'm across from the CNR Mercantile that is all decals. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I could show you on my iPad, and they've been here for maybe 6 months longer than I have, and all their decals are peeling, and it looks terrible. And I mean, I look at it every day, and I think that's one of the reasons that I personally have a problem with these decals is that they look like shoddy within a couple years.
Hey, Michelle, is that because they are a big sheet where the corners are peeling, or?
Some of them
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Some of it is sheets, and then some of them are just like letters and they're peeling.
Okay. And the
Like
letters.
different, you can kind of look around town, but I look at this one like daily for 9 hours a day and I'm like, there it goes. But I mean, you see them, the corners peeling different places and little sheets and big sheets or whatever.
Okay. I don't think anybody's having a problem with the freestanding sign. Probably could approve that and ask for a resubmittal on the door or building face sign.
Or
The door and not the decals.
One option would be to condition approval with the freestanding sign only. Out of the two components that are being presented here. And not approve the decals, that could be an option.
I wonder if it would be constructive to just have some back and forth here. I think that they're trying to get open, and I respect that part. And so if the position is choose one, the over the door sign or the door sign, perhaps you can speak to that.
Yeah, I'll come up so that everybody can hear. I didn't
Thank you.
realize that about the microphone.
Yeah, thanks.
So I'm the Kramer of Kramer Walker. My name's Grayson. So to Anita's point, if there's a concern about multiple signs, the quote unquote decals would only be used as a pair on both doors because of the visual balance of that. We are designers. It has to look like something. So that would already push us into now 2 on the face of the building, whether or not we even did the wood one up above the doors. So then that's technically a total of 3 on the face of the building. Our interpretation of the guidelines was a full sign, being the whole branding across the top of the door, was the main sign. That these decals on the doors were just our branding monograms and not really considered a sign, but branding. So that if we were off base on that, then I'd rather just remove those altogether, go back to the full sign so that we're not in violation of multiple signs on the face of the building, then that becomes a problem. So you guys can kind of mull that over. The other thing about the decal, I'm always surprised at people in this environment that do exterior mounted decals. We would do an internal mounted decal that is stuck on the opposite side, it's cut the other way so that it doesn't end up peeling one, but I've also learned that the plastic decals on the outside, due to the air here, can actually smudge and wipe away and then get it. There's more to it than just peeling. So I was never intending them to be exterior mounted anyway. So if that makes a difference or opinion, then there you go.
So can we scroll back to the sign that's above the door? So if the position is they can't have 3 building mounted signs, why don't we just approve that and the freestanding sign and they can go on their way?
Here's the question in terms of the staff dealing with the applicant. The wall sign, if they just came here, we could have looked at and approved. The deal was they are also showing the decals, and the decals was an alternate material. So it was just brought to you just in case they wanted to choose which one of those they wanted to go with. If they're saying they would prefer to have this one, that's something that we can approve administratively.
Well, they're saying they would need 2 decals to have symmetry.
Right. And what we're saying is you have the chance of having 1 sign, not 3.
Yeah. So if we approve the freestanding sign, you administratively approve this sign, they can go do their business.
That's correct. The reason why the decal was brought was because they brought that in here and we didn't know if they were choosing between those and they wanted to have that opportunity. So that's why it was brought to you as well.
Does that seem like a,
Yep, and sorry for not being clear. We were looking at it differently than official signage, so we didn't present it as that sort of approval. So I'm happy to just strike that. You guys can say no to that and we can move on with the rest. And we'll be in line with the rules.
so from a motion perspective, the only motion that we would make is a motion to approve the freestanding sign. Is that correct?
Correct. It would be a conditional approval for freestanding sign only if you were to make an approval.
Okay,
I just wanted to throw in too that him saying that it's on the inside makes a huge difference to me. So I don't know if you want to discuss that. And I mean, I know they'll make it classy, so I'm not worried about that, but I just didn't want to make, because I know we've been trying to get away from decals and it just keeps coming up, but I don't, if they're saying it's going to be on the inside and not be weathered, because I don't have a huge problem with that, but it just seems like everything around here has been on the outside and they're all falling off.
Mhm.
So if I could ask Grayson, so which look would you prefer for your business? I'm asking you, you know, if the decals on your door are a more welcoming presentation for your business, or if you would prefer the over the door sign.
I feel right now with my opinion of all the other things that are going on that corner with the telephone pole, the Fetch dog store sign and Kiki's that's practically on its last leg. And then us putting in this freestanding sign, that there's a lot of activity right there that could possibly cause that sign to not be noticed, including a large vehicle sitting in that one single parking spot. So I like the idea of something easy to read on the face of the building from the street as people pull around, more than the sort of design oriented decal signage that's just there because it was an idea to make it nice looking, so.
Okay. Well, just thinking that your door, I don't know. I'm trying to visualize. I like the look of your door with your insignia on there, but that's where I want to understand what would be best for your business visually. And
Yeah.
my understanding is the wall or the door above door mounted sign is your preference.
Yeah, I think right now that's the goal of mainly for branding, get open, have people see. We do plan to come back to the design review board when we get our ducks in a row and propose a paint color change, front door color change, landscape plan. And maybe at that time, once the other things are already in place, we could look at these decal options again with that whole new image of the building. And you guys could decide at that point if you like or dislike those ideas. We could go from there.
That sounds good to me.
Okay,
I would entertain someone to make a motion that we approve the freestanding sign and disapprove the door decals.
okay.
Approve the freestanding sign. Do I have to say I don't approve the decals?
Well, the one thing I would say with the decals is right now, they did request the alternate material to do it. So the only other option that would be available to the board is if you chose to approve the decals, then we'd have to work with the applicant in terms of determining either the decals or the wall sign.
but they just said they prefer the wall sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just answering Michelle's question.
yeah. She can make a motion to approve the freestanding only.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the freestanding sign.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Done.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get that piece of wood over to Dwayne and make it happen.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda is continuation of DRB 2406, David Bissett on behalf of Cannon Center. Rear alterations to existing structures and landscaping changes. Property located at 289 North Spruce Street, a residential motel zone. Application will be reviewed against the criteria of municipal code 17.44.080 to 17.44.100. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board to hear this matter at this time? Any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or personal bias? Has any commission member had any ex parte contacts or made a site visit? I did a site visit.
Walk by it all the time. Yeah.
Okay, staff report, please.
Good evening. The project is an exterior structural modification to the coach house area and its sunroom at the Haven Building of the Cannon Beach Conference Center. This item was introduced to the Design Review Board in March 2024, and during that hearing, the board moved to approve exterior modifications to the office registration entry and determined that additional information was required for modifications to the coach house area. Since that hearing, the applicant has submitted additional information, including an updated project description, revised schematics, and a pre-construction arborist evaluation. Moving into the site design evaluation criteria, the staff comment is the proposed revision of the coach house the proposed revision of the coach house is an irregularly shaped paved terrace that will be accessed from the sunroom by 3 new glass panel doors that will replace existing windows. The new terrace will connect the existing outdoor pedestrian system servicing the conference center property. The proposed terrace is shown on Exhibit A6, which has been excerpted into the figure shown on the screen. Moving into the architectural design criteria. Staff comment is that no changes to the overall shape and color of the Haven building are proposed as part of this project. The proposed modifications consist of a replacement of the existing windows with new glass panel doors that will open onto the terrace. As the subject property is not immediately adjacent to any properties not owned by the conference center, no impacts to other property owners or the city at large are anticipated as a part of this proposal. And then moving into the landscape criteria, the proposed terrace will be constructed from cast concrete stone style pavers. Potted plants and outdoor seating will be added to the terrace. Existing planting beds and 2 trees in the immediate area will be maintained, with 2 trees in close proximity to the building identified for removal. And that concludes the staff report.
Any additional correspondence?
No.
Thank you. Okay, call for public testimony. Pertinent criteria are noted in the staff report and listed in the criteria sheets. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the criteria, toward that criteria or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or municipal code. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence for the decision maker and the parties. Opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal based on that issue. Persons who testify shall first receive recognition from the chair, state their full name and mailing address, and if appearing as a representative, identify whom they represent. Is there a presentation by the applicant?
Yes. Good evening, David Bissett, architect, 4788 Sheridan Drive, Deer Heart, Oregon, 97138. So thank you for letting us continue this application and provide the clarity that we hope and think that you're looking for. So after the last design review board meeting, we had an opportunity to get the arborist report, which we had been waiting for. And it wasn't presented, so we couldn't do the first round. And we also reflected on some of the comments that were made and felt that the best approach was to do a paver terrace as opposed to Trex deck or some kind of a thing like that, that would be low to the ground. And so that's what we've presented here. And I just hope that the additional information that we've provided will give a clear idea of what we're wanting to accomplish. And we're excited that this will be a really nice amenity. Answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions. Do you? Anybody have any questions up there on the wall?
No,
Okay,
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the resubmittal and great looking schematic, and I think it's very attractive.
Yeah, thank you.
okay. Any presentation by proponents? Any presentation by opponents? Any further staff response?
Jan.
Jan. Jan.
Okay, I'm not really an opponent, but I'm Jan Siebert Warmond, P.O. Box 778, Cannon Beach. I just had a concern. I was wondering if the DRB might consider putting a condition on what they're asking, which would be to have our city arborist. I couldn't find any comments by our city arborist, Jeff Gearhart, about the trees. And I wondered if it might be possible to put a consideration, condition for approval, which would be that he would look at the two trees, the two shore pines that are said to be needing to be removed by the private arborist that we report. And if you do decide to allow those trees to be removed after the city arborist looks at this, then we could possibly require two trees to be replaced. It would be great if they could be shore pines again, somewhere on the conference center property. So I'm just asking if you might consider that, please, because we're losing a lot of trees and just would be a nice thing to have those be replaced on the property. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It seemed like there was a pretty good photo of the trees. Is it K82.1? Is that what we're looking at? It seemed like there was a better photo somewhere. You could see how close they were. Oh, maybe it's in the arborist report.
There's a picture in the arborist report on
Sorry, yeah,
4 that shows them.
yeah.
Essentially, it wouldn't be possible to do what they want to do with those trees
Right.
left.
I don't have an objection to the moving ahead without further red tape on the city arborist getting involved for the removal of those, but I also wouldn't object to the idea of conditioning them to plant the replacement trees.
Seems like something we do most other places.
Yeah. I mean, those, it doesn't take an arborist to look at that and say, those are impinging on the foundation and will crack the foundation.
Well, there's already a small crack.
Yeah.
Okay,
How do our remote participants feel about such a condition being added?
Well, I would agree, maybe replacement trees. I hate those trees getting blamed for whatever foundation. My understanding is their tap root goes down. It's not really a foundation killing tree, but I see their placement next to the building could cause some issues, but I would agree with that a condition for replanting.
okay. As a point of order, I guess I need to close the public hearing and move to the consideration phase, which is what we're actually doing.
Yeah, and I don't know, if we wanted to see if there are any more opponents and then if the opponent had any response.
I thought I did that.
We found one opponent, but there may be.
I see. Are there any additional opponents? Okay. Any staff response?
Anything?
Any
Do we have any response from the applicant?
statement by the applicant?
We would have no problem replacing 2 trees on the property. The conference center loves trees, so we'll find a spot for one.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you.
Now I will close the public hearing. And move on to consideration. Have any further considerations, or are we ready for motion?
I think we're ready to move for approval, conditioned on the replacement of 2 trees elsewhere on their property.
Yeah, they would be short pines.
Or we just say natives,
Okay,
let them decide.
Well, I have a question. I mean, would DRB even be involved in the approval of removing those trees? I mean, so we're not being asked that. We're just saying that for approval that we would like to see a replacement.
yes.
So in a way, yes, the design review board is partially reviewing the removal of the trees because you would be reviewing and approving a landscape.
Landscape plan, yeah.
Yes,
Okay. We have a motion to approve the site plan.
So just a point of order, Chair. Do we need 3 motions here? Do we need a site plan, a landscape plan? And
Architectural plan.
the architectural plan?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think all 3 elements
Okay.
are involved.
I move to approve the site plan as presented.
second,
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve the architectural design, which would be the replacement of the windows with doors, et cetera?
I would move that we approve the architectural design as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion to approve the landscape design.
I'll move to approve the landscape design as presented with the condition that 2 native trees be planted elsewhere on the property of 6-inch caliper. Is that a,
I don't know if,
Size.
yeah, there's no requirement on size in the tree code, but there is a list of approved plantings that is specified.
okay, So we just say native then.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase the motion. Then I move to approve the landscape plan as presented with the condition that two trees of native species be added elsewhere in the property.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Passed. Okay, that's that one.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for, that's good middle. Take a break before we do the last one, or? Sure.
If I wonder if just one more time, if you could just mention that we're withdrawing that item, just in case anyone was still on. I don't believe there is, but that fifth item was withdrawn.
Okay. The item for the Panzer ADU remodel has been removed from the agenda.
Thank you.
That was, excuse me.
It was just item 5 on the agenda.
Yeah,
2409.
2409, is that it? Okay, DRB 2409 was removed from the agenda. So let's take a 10-minute break before we start the discussion on the police station. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing and consideration of DRB 10, quasi judicial regarding CETA application on behalf of the city of Cannon Beach for a new police department and emergency operations center. Property located at 81389 North Highway 101. Application will be reviewed against the criteria of Municipal Code Chapter 17.44. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board to hear this matter at this time? Are you there, Harvey?
Yes,
You're not going to object? Okay. Does any committee member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or personal bias? Has any commission member had any ex parte contacts or made a site visit?
I have made a site visit.
I spoke with Police Lieutenant Wilbur.
I don't think it's an ex parte contact, but I had a site visit with Travis from our Public Works.
Okay. Is there a staff report, please?
There is. The proposed project is the construction of a new police station on an undeveloped portion of the Southwind property at the intersection of US Highway 101 and Tolovana Main Line Road. It currently hosts one of the city's emergency service cache sites. Excuse me. The property was acquired by the city for the purpose of constructing critical facilities such as the police station, fire station, emergency operations center, and other similar uses in an area outside of tsunami inundation zones that have been modeled by Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries. Planning Commission and City Council approved a zone change of the property, changing it from IR institutional reserve to IN institutional to facilitate the proposed level of development. This zone change was adopted in February 2024. The proposed new police station totals 5,270 square feet and will be built to house the police department and an emergency operations center. Site improvements associated with the proposed new building include the reconfiguration of the existing southern site access from Highway 101, the addition of 2 parking lots to accommodate both the police department and visitors, and the relocation of 2 of the existing cache structures currently utilizing the site. Site design has been coordinated to best serve the needs of the police department, emergency management, and public works, and thereby enhance community services. The building will be constructed as an essential facility to facilitate quick transition from police station to emergency management with on-site backup power and communication systems. The proposed location along Highway 101 provides quick access to all areas of the community for efficient response times. The proposed police station will be an investment by the community to provide improved working conditions for police staff and enhance public safety for residents and visitors. Moving into approval criteria. For site design evaluation, staff comment is that the site features are arranged to facilitate public accessibility and provide an efficient layout for police staff and other site users. The building placement is based on grading and utility analysis for cost-effective construction while being visible from Highway 101. The portable containers currently used for the emergency management cache site will remain on site, located to the east of the proposed development and be much less visibly prominent from Highway 101 than the station itself. The site design incorporates existing features by maintaining existing access from Highway 101 at the south end of the site and incorporating the existing roads and to adjacent properties into the proposed site plan. The site's topography and elevation change are used to provide visibility to the police station and emergency area. The new police station will be visible from Highway 101 and may become the first impression many people have of Cannon Beach when approaching from the south. And because of this, the overall design provides visually striking public presence while maintaining the security needs of the police and efficient site layout for emergency management. The planting of large native trees will blend with adjacent forested areas, thereby integrating the new landscaping with the existing forest and connecting the site back to its surrounding and adjacent properties. The existing portion of the site proposed for development is a cleared area surrounded by native forested land. The design enhances the property with native forest planting to screen proposed parking and adds native vegetation to enhance the entry and building frontage. By placing the development on an area that has already been cleared, existing forest resource areas are preserved. As a single-story building, the proposed development will not deny solar access, light, or air to adjacent sites or structures. At the proposed scale, the building will sit well below the surrounding tree canopy, limiting any impact on light or air access. Solar panels are planned to be located on the south-facing areas of the roof. The placement of parking on site is oriented to allow direct pedestrian access to the entrance of the building as well as all public portions of the site. Due to the location of the site on Highway 101, pedestrian access between the project and neighboring sites is limited for the safety of both staff and visitors. The overall site design features a blend of hardscaped areas, landscape, building, and parking with consideration given to how people move around with various elements and what separation is needed for police parking. The public face of the building includes a public parking with direct unobstructed access to the main entrance of the building. A pedestrian path wraps the building to the east. Mechanical units will be located on a concrete pad at the east of the building. They will be placed within the security fence and will be screened from view of the highway and public entrance of the building structure. Moving into the architectural design criteria, the staff comment is that the building features distinctive forms and materials common throughout Cannon Beach, including dynamic roofs, siding, and shakes and wood trimmed windows. The elevation of the site is minimized and the building, while visible from Highway 101, will not provide a monolithic or out-of-scale facade. In character with the setting, the primary exterior finished material is cedar. The building features both cedar shakes and planks running horizontal and vertical around the building. The proposed structure is not large and does not include large expanses of unbroken facade. The building includes a welcoming front, a modest scale, natural building materials, sustainability, improved working conditions for police staff, and increased safety for community, staff, and visitors. The proposed building height is comparable to the height of existing development throughout Cannon Beach, and the proposed building height does not interfere with solar access, light, air, etc. Regarding the lighting, specific information about selected light fixtures is included in the attached materials. Fixtures were selected based on the design aesthetic and compliance with international dark sky criteria and BUG ratings. Additionally, selected fixtures are appropriate for the coastal environment. Moving into landscape design. The comment is the proposed police station site is an open area on city-owned parcel on Highway 101. The surrounding area is generally forested. The landscape design for the new building is balanced between maintaining visibility to the site as an emergency resource for the community and the public, while also enhancing the forested nature to match surroundings. The landscape plan is designed with native plants that occur in the area or plants that are adapted to survive in Cannon Beach's salt and wind exposure. The site lighting plan, design and features will be international dark sky compliant and coordinated with the landscape plan. Site lighting includes pole mounted fixtures not exceeding 15 feet in height, complementary building mounted fixtures, and under canopy lighting at building entries. And that concludes the staff report.
Robert? Okay. Excuse me. Is there any additional correspondence?
No.
Call for public testimony. Those who testify will first receive recognition from the chair, state their full name and mailing address. And if representing somebody, tell us who they represent. Is there a presentation by the applicant?
Yes, there is. My name is Leslie Jones with CETA Architects and Engineers. I am here on behalf of the city, represent the city, PO Box 368. And I believe I can share the screen. Primarily, I am here to answer questions, but we'll run through an overview of the project. So I'll start off here with our overall site analysis and vicinity. What you see on the left, the circle up top is where we are now. That's the current police station. As you can see, it's west of that tsunami inundation zone line, which is what's depicted in yellow. The proposed site on the lower part of the screen, it's the adjacent to Highway 101 and on the east of that tsunami inundation zone. So that was one of the primary factors in locating the police department at this proposed site. What you can on the right is the existing conditions on site. The trees depicted in red here are those that would be impacted by the grading to make the site function as needed. Photographs of the existing on site. So what you see is a shed building and several annex boxes that are used for emergency management supplies. At the bottom here, what we're looking at are the existing access up onto the property. proposed site plan here. You can see the building is central. It's surrounded by public access at the existing south driveway that leads to public parking. That's the public facing part of the building. The parking depicted on the north side of the building, this is secure, so this would be fenced in with secure access only by the police department and emergency vehicles. We are maintaining outside of that secure fence line the access up the hill for public works to maintain that open for their use. We are also maintaining area on site, regrading that area to provide area to accommodate the cache equipment and structures. A couple other site amenities that we're depicting here. We do have the trash enclosure, transformer enclosure. And on the right here, what you see are kennels. These would be located on the site plan in the secure area at the back side of the building. This is for dogs that are impounded and need a place to stay. So we'll be providing kennels for them that will be heated and protected from the weather. I'll go through the grading fairly quickly. This shows the grades on site and some of that regrading to provide area for the emergency equipment. A depiction of the landscape here. Earlier, we saw those trees that were showing red that would be impacted by regrading on the site. We are proposing replacing all of those trees and planting additional trees. So our plantings would be on more than one-to-one basis for what needs to come out. Our plantings in front of the building, between the building and the highway, are fairly small. That's to maintain visibility. The plantings along the adjacent to the parking lot on the north of the building, this is where we're proposing reforesting a large area of the site. That would be native trees, such as the shore pines, the hemlock. Similarly to areas on the east of the site, anywhere where we're impacting the grading and need to remove trees, we will replant with native trees. This gives a little more detail on those specific species we're proposing. So this will give you information on the species proposed up front at the building entry and also in those reforest areas. Graphic representation of what are proposing native trees here. Similarly with the ground coverings, focus here on native species. This is the medium-sized planting proposed, and this final slide here is the ground covers. Again, the site lighting plan, it was mentioned in the staff report, are proposed to be all dark night sky compliant and comply with the BUG ratings. The small circles you see focused around the building under canopy lights. That's why they're more closely located, because they are smaller lights. The lights at the drive and at the parking lots are full mounted lights. Brief overview of the floor plan of the police department. This we have developed in conjunction with the department and their needs. What you see in orange are the areas that would be more open to the public. So the front door, the lobby, a public toilet room and a conference room, interview room. These areas would be less restricted. Beyond the orange area, it would be accessed by the police department or emergency management departments. In the back of the building, what you see in blue, this would be an area for the police to come in that is secure if they have somebody with them who is detained. So there would be another secure line for that person. Our roof plan here indicates in green what you see is the area that is south facing that we are looking at for the solar panel installation. The roof you see at the top of the screen here that is separate, this would be a standalone canopy for covered parking. Building elevations here unless there are questions. And the proposed materials, as mentioned, the materials are cedar for the exterior. It's a mix of cedar shake, which was focused at the building entry, and cedar siding around the rest of the building. And it is a mix of horizontal and vertical planks. You can see here, we have raised part of the roof to allow for clear story windows. That's to get extra daylighting into the squad area while maintaining privacy. You can see in this shot here, under the canopy, panels that I showed earlier. This is the front view of the station, again showing those materials. These high windows here are also in the squad room, and they are raised in that location to maintain police privacy and security. This is looking around the back. So the door that you see here on the backside, it's outside of the secure fenced area. It's a door with direct access to the emergency management center, which during non-emergency times also functions as the police break room and the conference. That room is more functional. You can see here this fence that's shown, it's a chain link fence with slats. The slats are limited to the area in back here that screens the trash enclosure and the mechanical equipment. The remainder of the fence around the front side that would not have, or it's not the front side, but the north side for that secure parking. It would not have slats. That would just be black vinyl covered chain link. That decision was made because of the wind up there and the weather and the performance of the slats. So this is the view at the back into that secure parking area. Energy conservation strategy measures there, and it's a combination of many things. This will be an electric only building, so we're not proposing to have any gas utilities up here. We also looked at sustainable building materials, natural materials, and indoor quality, so indoor air quality, our furnishings and fixture selections, all are selected with sustainability in mind. There's also a high performance HVAC system here that involves capturing warmed air. And so that is currently being designed with the specific police needs as well for extra ventilation. And the final document here is the site survey, so again depicting existing conditions. That concludes the
Thank you.
applicant presentation.
Are there any presentations by proponents? Jan?
And Siebert Warman, PO Box 778. I just wanted to say that in general, I do support this project. I just keep asking if we could have a few more trees in that forest corridor. Because I know Chief Jason wanted to have the building somewhat visible from the highway. I just thought that maybe if a few more trees for the forest corridor, the building could still be quite visible. But we wouldn't be having very little forest corridor there, so I would just be grateful if we could native trees, the forest corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other presentations by proponents? Any presentations by opponents? Any staff response? No. Okay, any further presentation by the applicant?
I would add one small thing that I didn't mention. The plantings outside of the property in the ODOT right of way are fairly limited, and there's a specific number of species that are allowed. So we are proposing a few trees in that ODOT corridor. They won't be natives because that's not our options. But I did want to mention that.
Thank you. Okay, there are no further presentations, then we will close the public hearing and move to consideration.
Can we have a little Q&A with Leslie, if that's possible?
Sure.
Leslie, this may have clearly has slipped off the plan at some point, but filling us in, it seemed like at one point there was the idea that this would be an emergency command center for the city in the case of this new building sitting on this site inundated. I don't see a lot of space for that. There's not council chambers or anything like that. What was the thinking on that, and how does that?
So the thinking is that this would be an emergency operations center in the event of an emergency, and that the EOC room, which, as I said, has many functions, there's a glass partition that would open up between that and the squad room. So in an emergency, those two rooms become one larger space out of which city staff can work as an EOC.
Got it.
If you're done, Tim, I have a question on the site plan also.
Go ahead, Tori.
I'm curious as to sort of access to the site by the police department in the case of an incident on Highway 101 that blocks their entrance and exit at that. How do they get downtown fast?
We do have a secondary emergency exit from the secure parking lot in case the primary parking and road areas on the site get blocked. So on the site plan, it's a one-way path. It's egress only in case of emergency, not secure parking out of the site.
Where do we see that on the plot plan?
I go ahead and share again.
It's the curvilinear road at the top of the.
So it's from the northern part of that secure parking, and then it comes down and back around. So it does also utilize that south access point.
Right, when Highway 101 is blocked with an incident, how do the police get their cars downtown?
So I believe they would need to cross Pennsylvania and access the town that way.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I believe they would need to cross Highway 101 at Pennsylvania and access the town that way.
Okay, so there are two semis wrecked, and there's one of them is a tanker, and there's a big fire. What's our police force supposed to do? They can't use 101 at all.
So what I was saying is I believe the plan would be to cross 101, then to access the town.
But they can't get there. 101 is blocked completely.
Come up, Hemlock.
How do we get to Hemlock?
This is Lieutenant Wilbur. We spoke this afternoon.
Yeah.
So if 101's completely blocked and it's like right there in front of the entrance, I mean, if we're talking, there's not enough space for even a vehicle to get out of there.
That's jammed.
Yeah. And, you know, we're the police. We have lights and sirens and the ability to move through situations like that. And, you know, the other option is to kind of go up Tolovana main line and come out that way. Or, and, you know, I'm not sure how this is all going to end up once the improvements are done. But to the north of the entrance that you see there, there's an access point on the road there. And my guess is that'll probably still remain that with four-wheel drive vehicles, we can get through there somewhere off the site. Yeah.
So can you get to the can you get out at all?
Yeah, and you know, in worst case scenarios, I mean, we can go up back on Tolovana main line. There's another road that runs up behind the police department that's unapproved, and we have four-wheel drive vehicles. I mean, using the logging roads, we could find a way out and a way to access town.
Yeah, I guess I'm putting myself in your shoes. I'd like to have a quick way to get downtown.
Right. But I think in that main and one chance where that access point would be blocked, I mean, there's other ways we can utilize and make it down onto Highway 101 and get through.
Yeah, emergency planning has to take care of that 1,000,001. Anyway, that's a concern I have.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to understand, and hopefully you can help me, is when you have an emergency call and you're going to be coming out onto Highway 101 with cars heading north at 60 miles per hour, hopefully, heading south. And how does that look when you need to get downtown Hemlock or Spruce or somewhere, and it's a very busy summer day?
You know, Anita, and I'd answer that is, you know, throughout the summer, when officers are out, we're patrolling, we're in areas all over the city when that emergency call comes out. We respond from, you know, a geographical area from the county line to the south to the junction up on Highway 26. You know, and if we make it to those calls, yeah, we run lights, sirens, we get through. You know, when the call comes out, you could be anywhere.
We're thinking all your cars are in your parking lot. Maybe one's out patrolling. The more out patrolling, the better. That does reduce this situation. But most of your cars are in the parking lot. They can't get out, and they aren't all four-wheel drive.
Well, and I think that
Oh,
ODOT
sorry.
was brought in. I'm sorry. I just wondered what ODOT's feelings are about that. I've never heard how, if they've approved it, I'm assuming that they need to in some way. Got emergency vehicles, it's an emergency command center, police station. I mean, potentially there's going to be a lot of activity there.
Yeah, our city vehicles are gonna have to use state highway, uh, federal highway 101.
To get to town.
And there's probably,
Sorry.
I don't know how
Sorry.
many times a summer I'm up on Sunset and have to respond to an emergency call from Sunset and get on the highway, making left and right-hand turns. You know, it's something that historically we've always done. I mean, Highway 101 is a part of our community and we've always dealt with it.
But, yeah, not to carry us on too long, but all your cars right now are parked at the police station, so somebody hops in another one and takes off.
So can I butt in here really quick? Michelle. Not to bring in my like big city ideas or whatever, but you know, being from LA and being from a land that's like gridlocked, the police had very little trouble getting through on highways. And I mean, I don't really, and I actually talked to a few of the firefighters and asked them if they had any concern. And none of them had any concern. So, I mean, where I lived for years in LA, I didn't even know where the police station was, but they showed up, you know, when they needed to, I guess. So, I mean, not that I'm like, yay, gridlock, but I feel like that's not really a huge concern here. And I don't know if it's,
I think, Michelle, the LA police station has a lot of ways to go when you want to get your cars out of there.
we have the 101 down there too. No, just kidding.
Of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, the things get gridlocked, I mean, on highways and people just pull over.
I guess my question is, why can't we give them another road?
Oh, interesting. I'll wait till you guys finish this part, but I had a question. Keep going. Sorry.
So I can speak briefly to the question that was asked about ODOT. We did submit plans to ODOT and asked about the access. The improvements we're recommending on the southern driveway have been worked through with them on a preliminary level. We will need to submit officially for permit to them. The reason we're not using the drive on the north more than we are is because the preliminary information we got from ODOT was that they would likely not allow that as an official point of access.
The other information I could respond to on that, the city did work with a traffic analysis company called Red Plains Professional at the very beginning stages of this and had consultation meetings with the Department of Transportation and the Department of Transportation based on that study, which indicated little to no measurable impact, did not require a full traffic analysis based on that. As Leslie stated, there would be additional conversations with them as the plan gets official to have them look at it one more time. But those were their initial comments to the city based on Red Plains Engineering, that based on that little to no impact, that a full traffic study was not required, and they were okay with the design of the intersection as proposed.
Well, now you're saying intersection and traffic, you know, and it seems like there would be a study or a count that maybe ODOT would do to see just how many cars so that they could decide if that indeed is a good area for emergency vehicles to be exiting onto.
And that's what I just explained, that they did see that documentation and indicated that they were okay with it and that allowed the city to continue with the process and come back to them. So they have had input and they have seen this and they have given every indication of support so far.
Okay, thank you.
You know, one thing I don't see on the site plan is any indication of the utility feeds site, the water, sewer, storm drains, where do those come from? How do they get there?
I don't have a utility.
Sorry.
So I don't have the utility plan with me. Though we could share that if that's requested. Some of it is coming in from across the highway. The water is coming, I believe, from south of the property. But the building was actually located in response to a stormwater that is running underground from the east of the property to connect in with the systems. So we shifted the building to avoid that particular utility underground.
I think if I'm not mistaken, we have like 1.5 million gallon tank just above and south. This, I'm guessing, it's a pretty direct feed.
Right, so
for water.
Coordinating water supply for both the sprinklers and for domestic water. And working with the city to make sure we get things located in agreement with them, such as potential fire. Sure, we have
I have a
utilities.
question about, I have a question about this. I did talk to somebody on planning too, asking, well, whatever their opinion. And they were saying that with utilities, I know this is not necessarily, but I feel like it's important to say that, for example, you're sending like a 2-inch pipe or conduit over, and you could also think about future building for like affordable housing and make the pipe or the conduit or whatever 4 inches. So a little future foresight, I guess, thinking about possibly having, I don't know exact, I can't remember how many acres the city of Cannon Beach owns up there, but it seems like a really good opportunity to maybe use this infrastructure as an opportunity to think about having a site for some affordable housing.
The problem with that, Michelle, is that all of that space would be uphill from this property. This is one of the lowest spots on this property. So you couldn't have gravity flow from here.
Is it, it's all uphill?
This is essentially the lowest spot on the property. Michelle, if you're done, may I ask another question of Leslie? You mentioned there will be EV readiness. It seems to me right now it's virtually free to put in with grants and subsidies and Oregon Energy Trust and so on. It's virtually free to put in EV charging stations. Are we planning on putting electric out in the parking lot to make that happen? Why wouldn't we take the further step of saying we're going to do this because everybody else is paying for it? The federal government is paying for it, Oregon Energy Trust is paying for it, and so on.
The EV ready means yes, we'll be putting the electricity and the conduit. Right now, the load for new buildings is 20% of the provided parking to be EV ready. So have sufficient electric capacity and conduit running to those spaces. We are working with the Energy Trust on incentives for various things. I haven't heard the request that we put in the chargers during this initial phase. But we could continue to work with the Energy Trust to see how feasible that is.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is with the rebates, it's virtually free. I've done some commercially myself, that were virtually free.
That's great to know, and we'll continue to pursue that with the Energy Trust.
Yeah.
It's the pit tank that's being relocated. What is that?
That is currently located at the northern part of.
What is? This is my question.
I believe that it's
The giant porta john.
basically
Yeah.
an outhouse.
It's a toilet that the emergency management program installed out at the property last year. It is effectively a composting toilet.
Okay,
So it's an assembly site for the tsunami. And so that was installed there.
okay. Thanks. It's not normally used.
Correct.
Only an emergency
It's not generally.
in more ways than one.
Okay. We had a point where we can do some motions.
I'm comfortable with the presentation.
I have a question about the sign. What is the sign made of?
So we have some options about what the sign would be made of, either metal or wood.
I mean, with this, I actually kind of like the design, surprisingly. Because I didn't care for the city hall so much, but I think this one's much better in my opinion. But I still kind of regret that I didn't actually say more about the sign, because I feel like this sign doesn't really represent the signage that's kind of typical in Cannon Beach. And I don't know who made the original city hall sign, but I think it's super cool, and it really represents like a little funky art town. And this signage looks really just kind of basic anywheresville. And that might not be a popular opinion, but I don't know. That's like one of my really main issues was the sign. It's just pretty boring, and I mean standard. And I just wish that like there was like a local artist or something. I wish somebody knew who made the original city hall sign, because I think it's super represents the town and art and little funky and stuff. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the site plan?
I move to approve the site plan.
Seconds?
I second.
Nobody seconds.
Michelle, did you second?
I think she,
Seconded.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Michelle, did you second?
I did. Yes. Michelle.
Okay.
Here.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, thank you. We just couldn't hear you.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved 4-1. Motion to approve the architectural design.
Move we approve the architectural design.
Any seconds?
Does that involve the signage? Can we put I don't know, caveat in there that maybe they try to do something else?
Well, you can condition the approval on, but I think something else is a little vague.
Well, I mean, she said metal or wood, and metal's not an approved material. And I don't know, I'd love to like approve the architecture design minus the sign. And that they come back for signage.
Steve, there was a comment when we were discussing City Hall about on-building signs. Would you repeat what you said?
Yeah, in this particular case, wall signs can be approved by staff. If it was proposed to be metal, that's an alternative material that would definitely have to come to the design review board. So, that's where we're at on that.
So we're not approving the sign at this point?
It sounds like we could approve it in a non-metallic form or in a wood form. Be specific.
I don't know why they wouldn't just come back to the sign, honestly. It'd be easier.
Okay.
I mean,
we
if
do
you
have
want to
a-
make it wood right now, then go ahead.
We do have a motion on the floor. Do you want to condition that on something? Harvey, I think you made the motion, right?
Yes, I did. If someone has a modification to it, I would entertain it.
Be a motion to approve the architectural design with, I guess, the sign saying that it's wood. I mean, or I guess that's all I can come up with. I'm not good at motions. We know that. I mean, if it's an alternative material, so, and they haven't said what it is.
I could amend my motion to approve with the exception of signage.
Breaking up
I think
our, too much echoes.
Too many mics are live right now.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I would amend my motion to approve with the exception of signage. To be approved later.
I will second that.
Okay, is there a second to that?
You said.
Michelle just seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Yes, there is further discussion. So we could approve it with no non-approved materials. Would it be more constructive to amend Harvey's motion to say the architectural plan is approved so long as there is no non-approved materials used in the signage? I'm trying to get this to not need to come back.
Okay, you okay with that, Harv?
Yes,
I like Harvey's motion. I want to stick with it.
yeah, it's not gonna kill them to come back to us with a sign.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like they're not going to be able to build their building.
Okay, so the motion is still on the floor to approve the architectural design with the exception of the signage, which would be looked at later. And I believe it was seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any approve or any opposed?
Yes.
Yes. Is that Anita again?
Yes.
Okay. Approved 4-1. And finally, is there a motion to approve the landscape design?
I have a question on landscape. Does that include the lighting?
Or the site plan.
Lighting comes in two places. The site plan would probably include the parking lot lights.
Okay.
And the building lights would be part of the architectural design.
Okay. I had one comment on lighting, and that is that the lighting matches our needs, or our requirements very nicely. I would, and I would want to allow the police department, we should at least think about it for the future, to really light that area in case of an emergency. But that's a separate issue, so let's move on.
There was a lighting plan submitted.
It's sheet E. And it's part of the landscape.
Wow. Okay. Looks like
Well,
it's,
maybe it's its own thing because it's,
looks like it's got pretty good coverage of all the areas with the parking lot lights. And the area under the canopy at the rear of the building, which is the secure entrance, is well lit. Not sure what else they could do.
I'm just thinking if there's somebody on the roof that you'd like to illuminate, it would be nice to turn on a whole bunch of lights. But that's, I'm just thinking, the lights are just fine as far as our criteria. Just thinking about safety for the future, for emergency, only emergency. Anyway, just an input.
Well, okay, not really part of the landscaping.
Yeah, it seemed to be presented as landscaping this time.
Is there a motion to approve the landscaping plan? Design,
so moved.
second?
Harvey, did you second?
I didn't, but I will. Second.
Okay, any further discussion on landscaping? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Thank you. 4-1 approval. Need a motion for the chair to sign appropriate orders. Yep. Is there a motion? Okay.
So moved.
Second,
Can't leave yet, guys.
I'm here.
Okay, you second it?
I didn't understand what was the last motion was.
The chair would like
Nobody
the
left.
ability to sign the appropriate orders.
Oh, gosh, I just didn't hear it. It crackled out. Nobody left here.
Yeah, there's a lot of echo and it's
Yeah.
really hard being on Zoom to hear. It fades out and echoes. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'm not like sounding really loud, but
No,
it's a little bit, needs some work.
Okay,
maybe.
do we have a second on the motion?
I second. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
or third, I'll third.
Those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good of the order. I would like to express a desire for everybody to show up in person for these meetings. Because it's really hard to operate
can't.
this
I don't-
way.
Sometimes you just can't. I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I think that's a COVID thing. I don't think you can force people to show up in person when they can't.
I'm not forcing anybody, I'm just encouraging.
I think
In
most people
person.
try.
And
And I don't want to I don't want to feel bad that I don't want to sit there when I don't feel good.
We hope you feel
So-
better, Michelle.
Like, I just don't appreciate it. Like,
Get-
I show
get
up
better.
all the time.
Get better by next month. That's an order. No.
I'm in another city, or I'd be there.
Okay.
You're actually allowed to be in another city because you're not actually required to have to you only have to own property to be on these things. So you don't have to actually be here. So it's not, I just don't
Okay.
appreciate it.
It is hard to do business on Zoom.
You do business on Zoom. Thank you, Harvey.
Any other go to the order items? We're adjourned.